Welcome to CrashMagic. I recently released a video called The Fairest Any Card at Any Number, and a few people asked in the comments if I could show how it was done. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. If you want to take a look at the original performance I did for the trick, I'll leave a link in the description. But if not, I'll do a very quick just recap now of how the trick looks. Of course, if you just want to know how it was done, then skip to the tutorial section. So if you watched my original performance, you'll remember we had a spectator, and the first thing the spectator needed to do was to call stop as we riffled through the cards in order to select our any card. I could show the pack so that anyone with knowledge of card tricks could see I wasn't holding any breaks to then force a card. The spectator could then call stop at any point, so say here. We could then show the card and ask them to remember it, place it back where it came from, and show quite clearly the card being pushed back into the pack. So with the card selected, we'd then need the spectator to give us a number or position in the pack where they'd like the card to end up. Now in my original performance I used dice just to prove that this was a random number, but the spectator can give any number from 1 to 52. Let's say on this occasion they choose 17. So now by cutting the cards we need to try and get the selected card from its current position into position 17 from the top. Now I think it was originally, I would guess, in about position 31. So if we cut here and here and one more cut, we should be pretty close. Your card then, position 17, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Here is 17. 16 would have been the 8 of spades, 18 would have been the 9 of hearts, but you chose 17, which is the 7 of diamonds. The tutorial then of the Fairest ACAAN, and I like to call it the Fairest ACAAN because to a spectator that is exactly what it seems. No obvious force of the selected card or the selected number, and no obvious holding of breaks or card slides. Of course though, this trick is anything but fair. I think a few of you might have had an inkling of how this was done, but from the comments it's clear to see that this is a really powerful fooler to your average spectator. So, enough stalling. The trick to this trick was a Svengali deck of cards, and this one is a bicycle deck, which is quite nice because then for anyone who's slightly familiar with cards it looks totally inconspicuous and like an ordinary set of bicycle cards. So by this point I'm sure many of you know exactly now how the trick is done, but for anyone who's never seen a Svengali deck, it's a trick deck of cards where you have 26 random card values and the other 26 cards are all the same value. So in this deck we have 26 7 of diamonds. Now for most tricks using these decks you have it arranged and set it up so that your duplicate card is every second card in the pack. And there's another secret with Svengali packs of cards, and that is that the duplicate cards are cut slightly shorter than the other cards. So here you can see this border is not quite as wide on this 7 of diamonds, and the card isn't quite as long as this 3 of spades. Now this means you're able to riffle through the deck in such a way that you can't see all the 7 of diamonds, you can only see the other cards. So back then to how we can use this deck of cards for this any card at any number trick. You can do some false shuffles to begin if you like, but I would probably just casually cut the cards a few times as I was introducing the trick to the spectator. Now while doing this I'd make sure we end up with one of the duplicate cards on the top of the pack, and I'll show you why in a second. It's easy to spot the duplicates though because they're slightly shorter. You can also quickly riffle the cards. I wouldn't make a big thing of this. This would just be, as again I was explaining how I was going to riffle the cards for the spectator to pick a card. But of course it has the added benefit of allowing the spectator to see what seems to be a normal pack where all the cards are different. And now you can see why it's important not to have one of the duplicate cards on the bottom, otherwise they'll see that. So once you've done that, you can then riffle through the cards, and the spectator can fairly say stop anywhere they want. You can lift up at that point, and because the duplicate cards are shorter, you're always going to leave one of the duplicate cards on the top of the bottom half of the pile. So then of course you can show the card that they've cut to, which will be one of the duplicate cards, and once they've remembered it, you can then place it back exactly where it was in the pack, because you want to maintain the order, and you can show the card being pushed fairly in. And again, if you turn the pack over, that's why it's really important not to have one of the duplicate cards on the bottom. So now we've got our card selected, next thing we want our spectator to do is give us a number from 1 to 52, the position that they want that selected card to end up in. They can give any number, 1 to 52, again it's a totally free choice. Normally I'd probably say, oh, give me a number between 10 and 40, because I don't really want to have it at the top or the bottom, but it would work exactly the same way. Once you have the number, you want to start cutting the cards now to give the impression that you're trying to get the selected card to that position. Now you want to give lots of cuts to the card so that there's no possible way that the spectator can actually follow roughly where their card is. But of course all you're trying to do is, if the number they gave you is an odd number, we want to cut the card such that one of the shorter cards, one of the duplicates, is in the top position. So when we count down to, let's say they say 17 again, if we count to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, here's 17, we know that's going to be one of the duplicate cards. I normally like to show the card before and the card after, just to show that they're other cards, other value cards, and then you can show their selected card is at the position that they said. Now of course if they instead chose an even number, again you would just cut the cards exactly the same, but this time you're looking to get one of the non-duplicate cards, so the longer cards in that top position, so that all the duplicate cards will then be at the even number. So when you count down to the even number that they've given you, again you're going to end up on one of the duplicate cards, one of the 7 of diamonds in our case. So that then was the tutorial for the fairest any card at any number, and the end of the video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. If you've got any comments, leave them down below, and see you soon.